Apple might have accidentally confirmed one of the biggest details about the iPhone Ultra, and weirdly it wasn't through a flashy announcement or a massive leak, it was hidden away inside iOS 27 Beta 4. This is exactly why I love when people dig through beta software, because sometimes Apple accidentally leaves little clues lying around like that and tells us far more than they probably intended. The latest one is regarding battery health, and I don't think this is a coincidence. Developers noticed that iOS 27 Beta 4 now includes brand new battery health messages referring to multiple batteries inside a single iPhone. That's completely different to every current iPhone because obviously every iPhone we've ever had only contains one battery. The new wording talks about the batteries performing as expected and also mentions replacing the batteries if they're degraded, and even references one battery failing Apple's genuine parts verification while the other doesn't. It's all written in the plural, and well, when you combine that with everything we've been hearing about the foldable iPhone, or what many people are calling the iPhone Ultra, it suddenly starts making a lot more sense. Foldable phones almost always use 2 battery cells, and honestly this isn't remotely surprising. Some have reacted like this is a revolutionary leak, but how else was Apple supposed to do it? When your phone literally folds in half with a hinge running through the middle, you physically can't fit one massive battery inside. The hinge gets in the way. Instead, manufacturers split the battery into 2 separate cells. One sits on one side of the hinge and the other sits on the opposite end. That lets them use the available space much more efficiently, and it's been the standard approach across foldables for years now. Samsung does it, Google does it, Oppo does it, pretty much everyone does it. So if Apple's foldable ends up using 2 batteries, I don't think anyone should be shocked. If anything, I'd be surprised if they somehow found a completely different solution. The rumoured battery capacities are interesting though. Reports have suggested Apple's going to use 2 battery cells, measuring around 1,921 and 2,962 milliamp hours, giving us a combined capacity of roughly 4,883. On paper, that is smaller than what we're expecting from the iPhone 18 Pro Max, assuming those battery rumours are accurate as well, but does that worry me? Honestly, not really. Battery capacity only tells us part of the story. We've all seen Android phones with enormous batteries that somehow don't last much longer than iPhones with smaller ones. Apple's always squeezed ridiculous efficiency out of comparatively modest battery sizes. The A20 Pro is expected to power this foldable, and if Apple continues improving efficiency generation after generation like it usually does, I actually think they've got a decent chance of beating some of the competition despite not having a battery that isn't class leading on paper. For comparison actually, Samsung's recently announced Galaxy Fold 8 has a battery capacity of around 4,800 milliamp hours, so Apple's rumored capacity actually is basically right alongside its biggest rival. That is an Apple falling massively behind. They're arriving in roughly the same place as everyone else. But where Apple could pull ahead is optimization. They build the processor, they build iOS, they control almost every major part of the experience. That vertical integration has been one of Apple's biggest strengths for years. But of course, physics is still physics. You're talking about a phone that unfolds into something approaching the size of an iPad mini. Bigger displays use more power. It's unavoidable. No software optimization can completely ignore that reality. If you spend your entire day multitasking across the massive display, watching YouTube, editing photos, and bouncing between apps, yeah, battery life is going to be worse than the Pro Max. But again, that's to be expected, so I have no issues with this. If this thing comfortably gets me through an entire working day, that's good enough for me. I don't expect miracles. I'd rather Apple focus on making the phone thinner than trying to cram another few hundred million hours inside, since thickness actually does matter with a foldable. The more interesting part of this leak isn't actually the batteries themselves though, it's what Apple might allow users to do with them. According to wording inside iOS 27, it sounds like each battery could potentially be serviced individually, so if one battery degrades much faster than the other, Apple may be able to replace just one cell instead of replacing both. And I kind of love this idea, because let's be honest, repair costs aren't exactly Apple's strongest selling point. If replacing one battery instead of 2 genuinely saves customers money, that's a welcome change. I do wonder though how many people are going to end up actually needing to replace one battery though, since I'm assuming both cells will usually go through similar charging cycles, since one would expect both cells to usually go through the same charging cycles, and so you'd expect them to degrade at fairly similar rates. Although maybe not. Depending on how Apple balances power between the two cells, it is possible one experiences more wear than the other. We obviously don't know yet because no one outside Apple has actually tested this thing in the real world. It's funny because this little software discovery also lines up nicely with all the recent reports suggesting Apple's Foldable is still on track for September. A few weeks ago, honestly felt like every rumor was pointing towards delays. One report blamed the hinge, another talked about manufacturing difficulties, then somebody claimed yields weren't where Apple wanted them to be. It was becoming increasingly difficult to work out what was actually happening. But now the mood has shifted. Supply chain reports suggest mass production has already begun, suppliers apparently haven't heard anything about major delays, and Foxconn has been reportedly hiring thousands of additional workers ready for production. Mass production is always the point I actually start believing these products are real. Concept renders are fun, CAD renders are fun, dummy units are fun, but until factories start producing devices at scale, I'm always slightly skeptical. That doesn't mean I think Apple's gonna ship this in September though. I'm still keeping one eyebrow raised. We've seen this movie before. The iPhone X was announced in September, but didn't actually arrive until November. Apple clearly wanted the announcement alongside the rest of the iPhones, even though production wasn't fully ready. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Foldable follows exactly the same strategy. From Apple's perspective, it actually makes quite a lot of sense. Imagine announcing the iPhone 18 Pro and the iPhone Ultra during the same keynote, then releasing everything together. Which device gets every headline? The Ultra, of course. No one's going to be talking about slightly faster chips in the Pro models when Apple's just made a bloody Foldable. Spacing the launches apart gives Apple two separate waves of attention instead of cramming everything into 1 week. Slightly annoying for us, especially those who are impatient, but brilliant marketing. Something else that's been making me think recently is iOS 27 itself. Has anyone noticed with the betas how Apple apps suddenly feel much better in landscape? Weather, health, music, messages, podcasts, even reminders. Individually, the tiny changes, you'd never make an entire keynote around improved landscape layouts, but collectively, it's beginning to look deliberate. People don't randomly start rotating the iPhone sideways for fun. Apple isn't spending engineering resources redesigning interfaces without a reason. A Foldable changes everything. Once you've got an almost square display sitting in front of you, sidebars suddenly become useful, split views make sense, large toolbars don't feel cramped anymore. I genuinely think Apple's been quietly laying the software foundations for this device over the last year without making a huge fuss about it. And by the way, if you're enjoying this sort of Apple obsession, subscribe. The thing I'm probably most curious about though is the price. I keep hoping Apple lands somewhere around $19.99 because psychologically that's already painful enough, but with the memory shortage, I get slightly nervous they're going to push closer towards $2,500. Please don't. I know somebody in Cupertino probably thinks there's a difference between $19.99 and $2,499 in terms of positioning, but my wallet is crying either way. The funny thing is, people are still going to buy it, not because it's necessarily incredible on day one, but because it's Apple's first Foldable. First generation Apple products always carry that sense of curiosity. People want to experience what Apple's version looks like, even if the second or third generation ends up being dramatically better. That's exactly why I think this phone matters more than sales numbers. If you've watched all the way to the end, type hinge down in the comments. I know you guys made it this far. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the hype button because it genuinely helps small creators massively and pushes the channel out to more Apple fans. And if you want something else to watch, go check my previous video covering the latest iPhone 18 Pro rumors. I think you'll enjoy that one as well.